And welcome back to the Uncool show. I'm Dylan,
I'm Nathan.
and we're on episode 26 today, covering a film that has been widely requested. Sometimes,
Enough.
Yeah.
Enough. No more.
Nathan and I can't eat, we can't sleep, we can't think. We're being bullied over this movie, and we've heard you.
We've heard you loud and clear.
It's okay.
The wait is finally over.
Pop a Xanax, take a drink, do whatever you got to do. Meditate. The day has arrived. We are covering the 2007 DJ Caruso directed masterpiece, Disturbia, starring Shia LaBeouf. Shia the boy LaBeouf.
Couldn't be more timely.
Yes. I love Shia.
This is the time.
Everybody knows how I feel about Shia. My boy's crashing out right now. He's going through it. And on a serious note, I really do hope Shia gets the help he needs. I love watching him as an actor. It's why we're doing this movie, really. Nathan and really everybody, our whole family. This was one of those movies that our family would occasionally throw on as like our movie night our movie of the night.
Yeah.
We didn't watch a lot of thrillers or.
I don't know if we watched it. I'm not sure if we watched this with Mom.
We did.
Are we sure?
Yeah, Mom likes Disturbia.
Okay, well, I don't remember that then. Okay.
Yeah, Mom enjoys Disturbia. That's part of the reason I got her to go see Eagle Eye the next year.
Yeah, no.
But sure. We're doing Disturbia. This is a thriller that I think a lot of people of our generation grew up seeing. It was one of the last big thrillers in theaters before the tides kind of started to switch and these type of movies just weren't being put out as much or being given as much of a budget when they were coming out. But yeah, this came out in the summer of 2007 in the middle of Shia's youth takeover. Nathan and I have talked about this, and we will talk about this moving forward. But in this year alone, he did Disturbia, Surf's Up, and then had Transformers come out. He was the next man up on the totem pole. You can talk a little bit about maybe how Spielberg was trying to position him.
Well, when we put the movie on, I remarked that it was produced by DreamWorks, or that was the distributor. And DreamWorks was founded by Spielberg. It doesn't say Spielberg is a producer for Disturbia, but...
He was an EP.
He was an EP? Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense then. I think Spielberg wanted to find one of the next guys, like you said. And for a time, he thought he had that with, LaBeouf. I mean, he produced Disturbia. I'm pretty sure he produced Eagle Eye. And then obviously he directed him in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
He was involved in getting him onto Transformers.
Oh, that's another good point. So, I mean, Spielberg was a big part of this period of Shia's life and career, and he was kind of setting him up to be, I don't know what archetype you would put Shia in, but he just is very charming, likable.
Yeah, when he was younger, he always had that intensity. He has it in this movie. But it was before things had gotten a little difficult for him. And yeah, you could see a lot of people in his life trying to wrangle that energy in, because I mean, he's an incredible force, even as like a 16-year-old in this movie. He's acting well beyond his years in Disturbia, especially in the opening sequence that you and I really enjoy, with his father and him going fly fishing out in the middle of like this beautiful scenic,
maybe the most like beautiful location I've ever seen on film.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's kind of weird that it's smack dab in the front of this.
Yeah. But this movie starts with them fishing and having this great father-son moment. You can just tell there's a real bond there. And then they unfortunately get in a car accident on the way home. And Shia, there's this great shot of Shia looking through the wreckage of the car. You see his realization that his dad has just passed away right in front of him. And it's just a great segue into this movie and what this movie becomes and some of the themes that this movie is trying to hit, even as like a really no-holds-barred thriller. But yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. I pretty much know every beat of it. It's one of those, you should talk about what it's based off of and what it was attempting to be when it was being written and made.
I mean, it's not novel to say nowadays, because I'm sure I'm sure Caruso, when he was interviewed about the film back in 2007, he listed Rear Window, Hitchcock's masterpiece, as a huge influence. And we were saying at the beginning of the movie, it's kind of like this millennial modern take. Well, millennial in the 2007 verse, but modern take on Rear Window, and the idea that people that are landlocked can notice certain things, different behaviors and patterns from their neighbors. And obviously, I mean, Shia's character notices, murderer living across the street from him.
Yep, and the movie really just becomes about these three teenagers: Shia, Cale Brecht.
Get it right.
Yeah, and then his new girlfriend, who has a name.
She sure has a name.
She does have a name.
I honestly don't remember her name.
Good God. Ashley Carlson.
How could we forget
How
that?
can I forget Ashley? And then Aaron Yu as Ronald, Cale's best friend. It's really just the whole movie's those three.
Mm-hmm.
You see a little bit of Carrie-Anne Moss. You see a lot of David Morse, who we will cover. You see a little bit of Viola Davis out of nowhere, which you had forgotten about.
Yeah.
She has a very tiny Oscar winner, Academy Award winner.
She
Has
plays
a tiny role in this.
like a law enforcement agent, and she shows up for maybe 2 minutes in the whole movie.
It's crazy. But this is a really clever, for its time and for the market it's trying to reach, which is teenage boys and young adults. It really has a lot to say about voyeurism and teenage relationships and the trauma bonding that these kids are going through and all that weird stuff. But it really hinges on the performance from Shia. Shia is great in this movie. He's great in pretty much everything. But it's also really hinging on the villain performance.
Mm-hmm.
David Morse is somebody who we're not too familiar with. You and I have
He
both seen him in
pops
a few
up-
things.
He pops up here and there in a lot of movies. I wouldn't say he's like a name of a character actor. There are certain character actors where you're like, okay, people know who that is. I would say David Morse is a little bit more obscure. I think that obviously like film buffs like know who that is and really like and enjoy his work. But we were saying during the movie how, if you made this movie nowadays, you'd need a star next to Shia in this villain role.
Yeah.
But the filmmakers rely on Morse's like grounded villainy and his intensity as a performer.
And again, we'll touch on this later, but Morse is really incredible in this. I think it's a couple of his performances, this and 16 Blocks. He's really good in the John Adams miniseries. I remember watching some of that. He plays George Washington.
He's great in The Green Mile.
Great in The Green Mile. Like, yep. I'd love to see him kind of make a
Renaissance.
revolution. Yeah. But
I'm sure there's way more that I've seen him in. I just, unfortunately, not a lot of it's coming to mind right now.
16 Blocks is, other than that, that's my big David Morse role. But yeah, this movie is pretty formulaic. But it's almost by design, because you're like Cale, you're trapped in the house the whole time. After the death of his father, the movie moves a year forward, where Cale is struggling in school, not paying attention, sleeping through classes, not applying himself at all. And a teacher makes a really interesting decision and not just calls him out in front of his class, but then brings his dead father into it, to which Cale immediately punches him in the face, assaults this guy, and gets house arrest for the summer, being that he's a minor. And that's kind of the progenitor for the whole story. Just watching that scene where that teacher says that, like, you can see like the real Shia come out of that too. Like Shia is almost like every opportunity in this movie where Cale as a character has to be like really angry. It's like, oh, there he is, dude. He's coming out. But it's just an incredible line from that teacher. What would your father think?
What would your father think?
Yep.
That is a crazy thing to say to a kid whose dad just died.
What would your dead father think about you not knowing these words in Spanish? Like, he wouldn't think anything, dude. But Cale assaults this guy and gets house arrest. From there, he immediately falls into like really negative routines,
Mm-hmm.
in which his mother breaks immediately.
We noticed, and on this watch, he sits down for a meal of like gobs of peanut butter dipped in melted chocolate, drinking a Red Bull.
Yep.
And he's he's developing bad habits. He's just playing video games all day and watching TV.
His room is a mess.
It's
It's
awful
actually
room.
disgusting.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
How much clothes is all everywhere and crumbs.
And for better or for worse, his mother takes away his access to like all of his entertainment. Gets rid of his iTunes, his Xbox Live, cuts the cord on the TV in his room. And this kind of leads to him cleaning up the house and cleaning up his act. But more so, it becomes watch everybody around me.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie has a fun sequence in which Ronnie, Aaron Yu, comes back from vacation, goes to see Kale for the first time, and he just goes house to house in the neighborhood showing him this person's cheating on this person and this person's doing that. And I'm pretty sure this person's a killer. And then, all these crazy machinations, really.
Mm-hmm.
But talk a little bit about that friendship. It feels very like, even though you and I, Shia and Aaron, you weren't apparently friendly, according to Shia, the last couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
But that friendship, when I was growing up, and still when you watch it, it feels like they grew up on the same neighborhood and they've actually known each other.
It feels like akin to something that would be on like Even Stevens. Like they'd have really really good chemistry. Shia knows how to play along with Aaron Yu, and Aaron Yu, we were talking during the movie, like he didn't have that big of a career, but for a time he was in some movies we enjoy, and like you've seen the Friday the 13th remake that he was in. I've seen him in 21.
Yep.
The unforgettable Chewie.
Yeah.
But no, they're really good together, and it does feel lived in. And
it does.
I think they're both have really good comedic timing, and their energies match each other very well.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron Yu is kind of like the Matthew Lillard of this movie, the Stu Macher. Just every scene very loud and abrasive and almost obnoxious, but it works.
He's the comedic relief of this movie. I mean,
sure.
So does Shia gets to do a little bit of that, but
yeah.
Ronnie is definitely more the comedic relief. But he serves an important purpose throughout the movie, helping Shia like uncover this plot.
Yeah. So you get introduced to Ronnie. They start hanging out more, and Ronnie starts coming over to give him doses of reality. But Ronnie also comes over because Kale has started to spy on
the new neighbor
girl.
Yeah.
Who again has a name, and her name is Ashley. And Ashley is a very good-looking, mysterious girl who moves in next door, and that's all Shia really knows about her at this point. Kale really knows about her because he can't leave a certain parameter. But what did you think of her performance in this movie? Rewatching it today, we watched this movie right before we did this.
When she's tasked with being scared or intimidated, I think the performance is good. There's a certain sequence when David Morse's character, he notices that she's following him at like a Lowe's or like a Home Depot, while Kayla and Ronnie are breaking into Morse's car, and then Morse stops her from driving out of like the mall parking lot and intimidates her. And her performance is very raw in that sequence. You can see how scared she is, and like anyone would be, it's very scary. That whole sequence is very scary. And towards the end of the movie, where there's more action and it really starts moving, she does a good job, showing that.
Yeah.
I think that when she's tasked with being a little bit more emotional or a little bit more charismatic, trying to match Shia's energy, the performance is a little flatter for me.
Flat, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah Romer, or I think that's how you would pronounce her name.
Romer
is the name of this actress. And again, Nathan, even though there are aspects of this performance that aren't always great, she's not bad in this movie. And it's interesting that her career didn't get a little bit of a bump from this.
I looked at her IMDb. The last thing she was in was a direct-to-video, like probably one of the last things Bruce Willis made.
Oh, really?
In 2021, it came out.
Gotcha.
That was her last credit. So, yeah, it's weird. Usually when these movies came out, the lead actress, no matter the performance, would get a couple more roles or tries tries to establish herself. It just seemed like it never really happened.
Because this movie was a box office success. A budget of just under 20, made just under 120, which back in 2007, for like a mid-budget thriller, is a real accomplishment. You would never see that today, unfortunately. But once her character starts to interact with these two, the rear window aspect of this movie really starts to take place. She's the one who's like, "Oh, are we gonna stake? We're gonna stake this guy out, order pizza," and then Ronnie steals a bunch of equipment from his sociopathic uncle, and they start, recording and trying to figure out what's going on. And very quickly, there are sequences in which there is something going on with this neighbor. Yeah, these kids aren't paranoid, so to speak. There's something going on, and they're trying to uncover it, whether it be a murder or something lesser than that. At the very least, these three, maybe 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds,
17 in that range.
They're doing it all on their own, which is interesting, and it makes for a fun dynamic between these three. They very quickly, this movie moves pretty well. Would you agree?
Very good pacing.
It's very well paced. It really, there's not a whole lot of wasted scenes, a lot of exposition. The moments where they're trying to get like very character focused are few and far between, but they work when they do. Like Shia going into his dad's, Kale going into his dad's office. The very interesting scene between the two of them after he breaks up her party, and he goes on this weird, very voyeuristic speech about
telling her like what she's noticing, what he
notices from watching her,
and like kind of seeing her trauma with like her bad relationship with her parents, and there's a lot of angst there. And that scene is good, and while weirdly voyeuristic, Shia does capture that emotion pretty well. In those sequences, she's not as strong, but he's just a good natural actor.
Yeah, and I think Shia is unfortunately one of those actors who he's at his best when he's playing distressed or emotionally out of the norm, and there's a lot of that in this movie for him. So this is a complete fodder for him as a performer, especially back then.
I was gonna say before, on that first stakeout night, that's where like the movie really starts.
Yeah,
like where the suspense starts. Because at first, when Kale is taking Ronnie throughout all the different houses, he notices David Morse's character. He's like, oh, he's a weirdo. He mows his lawn like twice a day. He's really type A, OCD.
Yep.
Like, I don't know, but he's just that's just him. And then later on in the stakeout, even before that, they notice. So there was a woman who was missing that's on the news. And there's a car that they reference in the news cast. And Kale notices the car being driven into David Morse's garage. And that's the first
there's a dent on the fender.
Right, which was described in the newscast. And so he's alerted. And then the stakeout happens. And Morse's character brings this girl from like a club back to his house. And they're kind of filming their interaction, and it seems a little innocent. There's a scare where Morse's character grabs a knife, and they think he's about to kill her, but then he just cuts off the tag of her dress. But later on, as the night unfolds, they get this fight, or this girl is scared and running away from Morse's character.
It seems like she's running away from him, and it doesn't seem playful.
No, it doesn't. It seems she's scared. You can see it even through like their cam footage.
Yes.
And so they're immediately upright and on edge. But then Kale notices that the woman left and drove her car out. And so he's like, okay, well, I guess like we don't have him on anything, really.
And he's on the phone with Ronnie this whole time. Ronnie's like, you're really starting to lose your mind, man. You got to stop doing this, Like whatever this little hobby is starting to really, really turn. At that point, the movie kind of takes a break from them stalking Robert,
yeah.
That is pretty much right after that is when the party sequence happens. Ashley throws a party. Her overbearing parents who shouldn't be together are they're trying to fix it, and they're off for the night, or they're doing something. She throws a bunch of parties with she throws a party with all the popular kids from school as like a way to, as Kale sees it, try to make a way in. He can't go to the party. He's still under house arrest. And in his jealousy, there's some fun stuff that happens. He plays this Minnie Riperton song really loudly to ruin the party atmosphere. It's all born out of jealousy. He doesn't want to see her with these other guys. There's these other, what he calls jocks, that are touching on his girl, and he's just watching from his balcony and decides to do something about it. But that does lead into that scene that I talked about. It's one of the top 3 scenes in this movie in terms of like acting. It gives Shia a real opportunity to flex on everybody else a little bit.
Yeah.
And that sequence is also what solidifies their romantic relationship, their first kiss, so to speak. Because up until that point, it's very like, voyeuristic, but very like sexualized in how Kale and Ronnie are looking at her, especially from a distance while she's swimming or doing yoga. There's a lot of interesting shots of like the teenage boy mind, so to speak. And they don't really treat her like a person until she makes the move to come over there and start to.
She has to establish that.
And
like she's a person, not something to be like leered at.
Yes.
And like you said, that sequence between the two of them, Kale and Ashley, brings them together. They're a couple from that point on, and they're in it for the long haul throughout the rest of the movie. And they're starting to make out, and like something they don't see or notice is like Robert's character at his house. He has this like a little shed, or it's in his garage, and he like hitting something. There's like blood spurting at the window, and they don't see it, but it lets the audience know like, oh man, they could have caught it.
Yep, he's
doing something nefarious.
Yep. Right after the party sequence, this movie really does just move quick. Is that shopping sequence, which is a lot of fun. At that point, Kale and Ronnie are at home. Ronnie has decided he's going to break into Robert's car in broad daylight, and then get the spare key from this car and break into his house and see what else is going on in broad daylight. And Ashley has followed Robert to, like you said, a True Value or a Home Depot.
Yeah.
And that sequence is also one of our favorites, I would say. It's fun to see Morse like act like he's just shopping, even though he knows he's being followed the whole time. And again, that sequence, that scene in the parking garage is incredible. That's definitely David Morse's best scene in this movie, I would say. That's like his opportunity to flex, and his presence is just chilling in that car. I mean, he lets himself into a teenage girl's car after pulling her keys out of the ignition, stepping in, locking her in with him in her own car, completely taking over her space and making it his own. And something that you had noticed is that, the way he tries to play it off.
Yeah, he tries to kind of play it off like, oh, she's stalking me because she's interested in me.
Sexually.
Yep. And that's kind of like his way of telling her, if any of this comes to light, or if this day comes to light and you bring this, whatever you find, to the police, like, I'm going to tell them this is what you're doing.
And they're going to believe me.
And something we didn't notice earlier is during that whole sequence when Kale notices something's wrong at the house with him and the woman, Robert sees him looking at him with the binocular. So Robert knows.
That's true. There was that brief
and Robert establishes a relationship with Kale's mom and like
because of that.
And so he knows what the kids are doing, and he's like openly threatening her. And he also is saying things like, in this culture, there's a lot of paranoia, and I wouldn't want you to, I love the line reading, like, stoke the fire.
Yep.
And that's what he tells her. And he said, like, I don't know, like, a young girl like you being interested in a middle-aged man like me. And it's really creepy. He's
really good in that
really
scene.
Creepy, and that was a really. It always is like that's probably one of maybe my favorite sequence of the movie.
Yeah, it's a very interesting way for him to psychologically switch it up on her, because she goes back and Aaron, you has that line. She's got that Stockholm thing, because for a minute she believes him. Like, oh, maybe we do just need to leave this
let's
guy
pull back.
alone.
Yeah,
maybe we have gone too far, and so it works on her. It doesn't work on Kale and Ronnie. They're both just like, what are you talking about? This guy's
no,
but he scares her so much that she almost believes him, which is a very interesting. And yeah, it's definitely one of the best sequences. He. Even when he's trying to be innocent, he can't help but exude like this menacing, like it's just oozing out of every pore of his body.
He's so intimidating. And every sequence, even when he tries to be nice to Carrie Ann Moss playing Kale's mom, like even then in those sequences, you're like, you're slimy, like you're gross. We can see right through you. But
Carrie Ann Moss can.
He's charmed.
Yeah.
He's charming.
He is charming
to people.
Which that's what they say about those. The serial killers. They have like a switch that they can use it. It's very, very frightening. Whenever I watch documentaries on that kind of stuff, I am always frightened and fascinated by their psychology and just how quickly they can, like Bundy. He had like how many women in the courtroom were like, oh, I'd marry this man. It's like this isn't. It's insane. What they can do. It really is. And he is Morse is like you said, like probably pushing 50 as a character.
He's like a middle-aged guy.
And you would think he's been doing this maybe for 30 years unchecked. God only knows how many people he's killed in this universe.
Later we see that quite literally how many people he's killed.
Yeah, right. But after the sequence with the parking garage and with her pulling back, it's really right after that is when Ronnie decides to.
Well, he leaves. Well, okay, so Ronnie is breaking into Robert's car,
and he's not able to get into the
garage, but then he accidentally leaves his phone.
It was either his keys or his phone. Okay.
And he like rushes up to Kale's door and is like, "We have a problem here. Like I left my phone in his car. Like we're gonna be found out.
Yep.
Like I'm screwed.
We have to break back in."
And so this kind of starts. That sequence starts the third act of the movie.
Yep.
Ronnie and Kale have this scheme where Ronnie's going to be able to get into the garage using the garage's code. And so Ronnie like slinks into the garage.
This
trying
time
to
not
find
at
his
broad
phone.
daylight.
This time at night.
Actually at night.
And we are put into Ronnie's point of view mainly through like cam footage.
Yes.
It's very crude, but he kind of guides us through the garage and what he sees. And Kale has like a live feed into his room, so he sees everything that Ronnie's seeing.
And the scene where he's in the garage, and then randomly runs through his house screaming like a madman. It's never really explained whether he was actually afraid, if maybe he saw Robert and made that dash through the house, or if he's just doing it to be a joker, You
never know. That's kind of the fun suspense of that sequence.
Yep.
I think that he is genuinely scared, but he knows he's playing it up. Yeah, he's playing it up and trying to scare Carol in the process.
And it works. There's a real sense of loyalty between all three of these characters that's built up. And that's another emotion or another energy that LaBeouf is always good at showing, that I'll die for, in Fury, I'll die for my brothers. I'll do this for that guy. He's very good at exuding that. And when he thinks somebody's in trouble, that's another LaBeoufism that always comes out in his performances. And so he goes and he tries to save his boy who doesn't need to be saved. So he trips his ankle monitor again. He doesn't break in because the door is already...
kind of has a baseball bat in his hand, ready to fight off Robert.
Yep.
Then the cops show up.
They arrest him. He screams, that there's a body in the garage, because Ronnie, before he has to run through the house, he finds something bloody and sticky, and
he said there's hair.
There's hair.
Yeah.
After a fun little scene in which this cop who already hates Kale is being repeatedly called to the scene of all these issues, points to it, and it's a a roadkill. It's a dead deer
It's a
that
dead deer.
Robert hasn't
Disposed of yet.
Giving Cale his third strike, which Viola Davis pops up for another 30-second scene just to be like, "You're doing court at 9 a.m. tomorrow, bud," and then she just slinks out of the scene again.
Just leaves.
It's crazy to see so many of that like gravitas, in that. But from that point on, the movie just becomes like a 25-minute just like rush to the finish.
Like a thrill ride.
It really is a thrill ride. A lot of chases, a lot of action, a lot of fighting. Carrie-Anne Moss, who again, she has a name too in this movie. Julie.
I don't even know if they even say that.
I don't know if they ever do. Mrs. Brecht, Mrs. Julie Brecht. Carrie-Anne Moss decides to go over because she believes everything Robert has said. She doesn't believe that there's anything weird about him, even though Cale has been trying to bring things up. She says, "I have to go over there, or else if he presses charges, you're going to jail. I can't have you go to jail. I can't be alone in this house." So she goes over there to try to save her son. All the while, Cale knows that this dude is a monster, which is a very interesting level of tension.
Yeah.
In that, does he witness David?
No. That's all cutting back and forth.
Because that's when he hits her.
Yes.
With that hit, they're like, that could kill somebody.
No, seriously, it could. And then Robert rushes over. Well, we didn't say it. So before all this happens, Cale is in his bedroom and he's like kind of watching his mom and Robert's interaction. But then he gets a message from Ronnie saying, "Look in the closet.
Turn on your TV.
Turn on your TV." And it's a feed of Ronnie in his closet right next to his tower of Twinkies in his bedroom. And Ronnie looks like he's dead laying there. And then he goes over, opens the closet, and Ronnie scares him and yells at him. And Cale is so upset, and he's telling him, like, "You really scared me. Like, that is not okay." And then, but then they're fine after that. But then that's when, after that sequence is when Robert assaults his mom and then runs over and hits Ronnie over the head with the baseball bat.
Well, it's also at the same time in which Ronnie goes downstairs to get something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Cale starts to look through the footage of everything in the house.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And at one point, while Ronnie's running through making noise, he trips and he falls and he gets a brief shot of a vent. Cale is just kind of like intuitively drawn to this shot, zooms in on it, and sees what looks to be a portion of a face, of a body that has been hidden in the back section of this house. Confirming everything that Cale knows, and then immediately the movie moves back to Julie Brecht getting hit in the face and really launching into this crazy chase sequence, like you said. He immediately comes over and just destroys Ronnie. In real life, that might be a fatal hit.
It is a hard hit of the baseball bat.
With a metal baseball bat straight to like the right eye. I mean, the sound design of some of these hits from Robert are really good. It kind of drives that he's like this hulking force that has like a strength that doesn't, like an otherworldly type of strength. You know? And then you do get a really fun chase sequence, but you get that great scene in which Cale is tied up and duct taped, and Robert is telling him how he's gonna frame him. And you said it, like some of the maybe the best 5 seconds of like acting that LaBeouf has in this movie.
He's crying as he's telling him like, "I'm gonna kill your mom. I'm gonna kill Ronnie." He's like laying
kill your girl,
killing everybody. And Cale's hearing this, and he's obviously terrified. And then after that, Robert goes, "Do you like the sound of like?" I don't remember what he says.
That sound good to you?
That sound good?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
He's just so cold and calculating.
Yeah.
Every word. It's a brilliant plan. He would never get away with it, but like in his mind, it's a brilliant plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, how does Cale get like? There's like something
he like gets close to Cale for some reason, but Cale gets the upper hand, and, like hits him in the face, and then
he jumps away.
Yes.
And then, she comes.
Oh, Ashley comes and causes something to happen. happen, right?
She hits Morris in the back.
And then Shia hits him with something. And then Shia like punches him.
And then they get away from him. She cuts him free. Yeah. And then they jump into the pool.
Yeah, because Robert gets up again after Shia like tosses him down the stairs. He comes up and Ashley and Kale jump into the pool to get away, which like triggers Kale's house arrest.
Yep.
Whatever that device, alerting the police, and he tells Ashley to go home. Like, I need to go figure this out. Like, I got it from here.
And you don't see her again.
And not until the end of the movie.
Not until the very end, when after everything's
settled.
Cleared up. Which is probably good. If I were her, I would just go hide in a corner for a minute.
Yeah, no.
Like after all that, I think
leave it to Kale.
Yeah, he can go save his mom. At that point, he runs straight back into the mouth of the lion. He goes into Robert's house and starts poking around. There's a very brief line earlier in the film in which Kale somehow has building records and has seen that there's been an addition built onto this house. So he's tapping walls and trying to figure it out. Eventually he does, and he starts to make his way into the basement. At the same time, that cop shows up.
Yep.
And there's some really cool shots of Robert David Morris, like behind curtains and behind corners, and just waiting for his opportunity to strike.
Takes that he kills the cop.
It is like the only on-screen kill you see, really.
Yep.
He breaks homeboy's neck and he's gone. Pretty brutal.
Poor guy. Yeah, pretty bad.
You do see one more body count, but from that point, Shia Kale goes through like the set of Saw 1 through 4.
It's kind of cool. I was just thinking,
very interesting.
As we were sitting here, I like the dichotomy between, you get like the clean, sterile, white, like basically like doctor's off, like it's like a room,
like a
surgical room,
like completely clean.
And then he gets down to the basement, and it's so dingy, and it's like a maze down there with all dirt and soot and bodies as he finds
puddles, big old puddles,
disgusting stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, I like that, the difference between those two, and how like as you go down to levels, like you're like descending into hell basically.
Yeah, pretty much. There is some really cool visual stuff, and some very like off-put. I mean, all the disguises you see the red wig that Robert was wearing as he faked being that girl from the club earlier,
which is like stolen directly from Rear Window. That happens in Rear Window.
Yep.
Like the leaving, looking like you're the woman that you killed.
Yep. And
so to not alert the people looking at you, which is a cool reference.
Yeah, and it works really well here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not really a whole lot. Kale goes down to the basement, finds his mom tied up. He unclips her, but she falls directly into the hands of
Robert catches her
in the shadows. It's a cool little shot as his face emerges. And after a pretty brief, it
doesn't last for long.
Very brief little confrontation.
Like 20, 30 seconds.
In which Carrie-Anne Moss gets free and she stabs him with something. And then Kale
takes like these lawn shears, which is a great like thriller weapon, horror movie weapon that isn't used enough.
Yeah, gets him through the stomach, and then like kind of like
he falls into the puddle of bodies,
like moving him through all this like weird stuff, and then throws him into this puddle. Yeah, it's a cool like last shot of Morris.
It is.
His eyes are still open. He could be alive.
Watch out for the sequel.
Yeah, watch out for Disturbia. That's kind of like really the end of it, and it's just a lot of like you see that Kale gets his ankle bracelet off for good behavior for killing a serial killer,
and he gets the girl at the end.
He gets the girl. Aaron Yu he's got a bruise, but that's it.
You know what we never see, which I think is a fault of the movie. We don't see enough in general between Kale and his mom, and like getting the mom's perspective. We didn't really get a resolution in their relationship at the end. Not really.
No, it's just like, oh, thank you for saving me. I was wrong.
Yeah, and I think
this guy wasn't trustworthy.
Lazy characterization. Yeah,
they could have done way more with Carrie-Anne.
But like you said, and as we're describing the plot, you kind of sit back and realize this is such an economic movie.
Yeah.
It really just moves. It's about an hour 40, and it feels like an hour 20. Like it is so. Obviously, you're going to get lazy characterization as you try to like speed movies up. like we did with Carrie Ann Moss's character, but it's just such a fun, tight ride of a movie.
It we've been doing a lot of laughing, but it genuinely is. It's pretty well shot. There's some very good looking shots. There is like genuinely really good lighting. Nathan and I were joking the whole time about legendary cinematographer Roger Deakins having shot this movie. He did not, but another guy named Rogier Stokes,
who shot a previous entry into our podcast.
Oh, I shot School of Rock.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But we were making jokes about the lighting in this movie, but there's some really good lighting in this movie. It's
just a very competent thriller, and it's very well made, and there's not
funny.
A lot of holes in the story. And it is very funny, and
there's
really,
some good humor.
Really light on its feet, despite the scary subject material. It gets really intense towards the end.
It does, and it's heavy. I mean, it's a father-son dynamic that's cut short really quick, and then you clearly don't know anything about the dynamic between Carrie Ann and her husband, but these are two characters like dealing with loss, and yet you don't see a whole lot of that loss from her perspective or a whole lot of character from her perspective, but it's not really supposed to be her story. It's the Kale story. And again, this is just another example of Shia being a very, very talented dude who, is a very bankable guy if he's ready to play ball.
He has his head screwed on
and
straight.
Ready to like be a team player. Which he has really lost the ability to do. Lost the ability to be a team player, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But I still look back. I love watching pretty much everything the guy does. I'm pulling for him. This is one of those movies that I can see this being, you can show this to a 15-year-old right now and they would still enjoy it and get it. It's not like too dated.
I think in a weird sense, the dated qualities of it are charming to me, because we both grew up in like that 2007 world where you look at the dated cell phones, Xbox Live, like all the music choices, the outfits.
For sure.
For me, I really respond to those like mid-aughts thrillers. I really like those kinds of movies, and this is kind of like the perfect intersection of my taste and our taste. And so I think to some this might come off dated, but it's a really evergreen story. I mean, Rear Window was made 50 years before this movie was probably even ever thought of, and a lot of movies are iterating off of Rear Window. I'm not pretending this is the first, but this is like one of the more mainstream ones that do. And obviously the box office tells itself. It was a very successful movie.
A lot of people went and saw this.
And Shia was a very successful leading actor at the time.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, this was in the middle of a run for him in which,
that picture of him.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, Disturbia, Surf's Up, Transformers, Indiana Jones, Eagle Eye, Transformers 2, Wall Street 2, Transformers 3. That is a 4-year period where he just never stopped working and made
a lot of successful movies.
A ton of really interesting stuff. And that, oh my gosh, the legal issues section on Wikipedia is quite extensive, Shia. I love you, man. Get it together. This movie is just a lot of fun. DJ Caruso isn't like trying to do anything that he can't do. He's not trying to like go too far, pull too many weird punches. He's very much in his comfort zone here. I think things really... we talked briefly about Eagle Eye, which was the next movie they gave to Caruso. They quadrupled his budget for Eagle Eye, and that still made over $100 million at the box office. Another Shia movie, a little more high concept.
And not as good.
And not as good. But, DJ Caruso, man. Who would have thought?
I mean, a DreamWorks filmmaker that was like handed the keys to a young star's career for 2 years there. It's interesting. We were talking about how movies like this are rarely made in general. And I think if they are made, they're usually put onto streaming.
Yeah.
They're not in theaters, unfortunately. Now you have a few exceptions to that. The writer of this movie, Christopher Landon, he has been a genre filmmaker for about 15 years now. He He wrote and directed Drop, which came out last year that we both saw and really enjoyed.
Yep.
You know, so these movies do come out, but not as often as they should.
Yeah.
And I think like a teen one like this, that's really missing. That's like actual quality filmmaking.
What's the last like really good teen movie in your estimation?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I honestly don't know.
Edge of 17, maybe.
It's like,
Did you
I'm
see
sure
that?
there's things. Yeah, I did. There are things in the last couple of years that
Yeah, I
I'm
gotta
sure would
keep
qualify,
thinking.
but nothing like truly mainstream. I would say.
Yeah.
You know, those movies don't make as much money. A lot of that stuff is put onto streaming. Disturbia would be on streaming nowadays.
Yeah, I really do think it would be, unfortunately. Unless you had like just crazy stars attached to it. But I do think that this movie, it's a credit to this movie and to that time period where you can let David Morse be the lead villain and just let him cook for a bit and see what happens. You don't always need like the TikToker or the Instagram dude or like the biggest name to,
or like
to
yeah,
lead
the
your
person
film.
you pay half the budget to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you really don't need that.
Yep.
It doesn't need to be part of like the chemistry of the movie. But nowadays, we were saying, if you put this kind of movie out in theaters, it probably wouldn't make anything more than like $50 million. Like,
Yeah.
and that's a large chunk of change, but
Not
this
in
movie
that
made
world. Yeah.
in 2007 in that world, $120 million. That's a huge sum.
It's just times have changed. People don't go to the movies the way they
No.
did back then. You know, no streaming services in 07. You know, I guess to me, it's for the worse. You know, I think it's a
Absolutely
darn shame. But yeah, you know, I mean, not really anything else to say about Disturbia.
No.
You know, it's a very fun, competent thriller. Shia is a very talented actor, always has been. And when he was super young, it's crazy to see somebody of his age doing what he's doing. Aaron Yu is great.
David Morse is great.
David Morris is great. DJ Caruso is great.
Everyone's great.
Right.
Everyone gets their flowers.
The legendary Roger Deakins shooting this film is great.
It's a fun time.
Yeah, super fun movie. We had a lot of fun watching this.
It kind of brings us, it at least brought me back to that era of filmmaking, and well, it also is just really nostalgic for me. You know, growing up in 2007, I was 7 years old. You know, seeing movies even back then, and you know, I was really excited to watch this even back in the day when I was of age, and it did not disappoint, and it did not disappoint today.
It's just a fun time. So if you haven't seen Disturbia, give it a go. Again, it's a pretty short, pretty quick watch. Won't take too much out of you emotionally, you know. And in the end, the good guys win. You know,
like they should.
Aaron Yu always wins.
Yep.
Always
bet on Aaron Yu.
Always bet on Chewy. But thank y'all for tuning in. Have a good one.